Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com. Fantasy Philosophers is brought to you by fantasy-info.com.
Antonio Bryant had himself a really nice bounce-back season in 2008 as he established once again that he does have the talent to be a solid fantasy-relevant and really NFL-relevant receiver for people to pay attention to and the NFL to take note of. He signed, and then last offseason, I should say, the team held him on. He didn't really get a new contract or anything. He had a knee problem, and he really just never got his season started. He did have some decent games towards the end with Josh Freeman, but it really just wasn't a situation that he was in the year before with John Gruden there and the people that he had around him then with Jeff Garcia. That season, he just didn't have the team around him to be successful, plus the knee injury. So this offseason, he goes into free agency. He signs with the Cincinnati Bengals, and this is the type of guy that the Bengals desperately needed, as they needed a guy that could truly replace a guy like TJ Houshmandzadeh in this offense. Last season, they tried to get Lavernius Coles, I should say, and he just did not get the job done. He was non-existent in that offense, and so they parted ways with him this offseason, and so now Bryant is the number 2 man next to Chad Ochcocinco in this offense. I expect Bryant to have a good season this year as long as Carson Palmer, and I guess we're going to find out where the rubber meets the road on this. There's been debate. Is Palmer's arm hurt still, or is it just that he doesn't have enough weapons around him? He doesn't have a ton of weapons around him, though. I do like what Jordan Shipley, the young receiver rookie, looks like he may be a really nice slot man for them. But for Carson, I guess we're going to find out what's going on with that right now, right away. So with Antonio, I'd tail him back just a little bit. He's still in the top 35 receivers to look at somewhere on your board. He can have potential to be a pretty solid player this year, but we have to be a little conservative in the sense that, for one, he's known to have bad years. And two, Carson Palmer, we're going to have to find out if that arm really is good or not. So hopefully we can see something in preseason. Maybe Carson Palmer can have a game there for a couple quarters where he kind of puts out a signature game, throwing a ball down the field a few times, saying, hey, the arm's just fine. If that's the case, we'll feel a lot better about Antonio and his fantasy production coming into this season. For now, we're just going to have to be a little bit conservative here. I don't expect him to be a guy that you should be looking at to be a starter on your team right away, but he does have talent, and he can make for a nice flex play type player and even roll into being maybe your number 2 guy if there's some guys that, as every year, there's certain receivers that just aren't getting it done. You look at guys like Steve Smith a year ago for whatever reason. Look at a guy like Jake Delhomme, just can't get it done, and there's a really talented receiver just not getting it done. So we see this every year, and a guy like Antonio Bryant, all of a sudden, he's starting for your team, and you're really happy you got him on draft day.
For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football with your free subscription. For more fantasy football information, go to fantasy-info.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Good luck in your 2010 Fantasy Football League. As an added bonus, the Fantasy Info guys will include their 5 secret tips for success in fantasy football.